Praise the Lord, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on episode number 15 of the Babbler. I'm so excited to have Sister Olivia Hill with us today, and she is going to be talking to us about stewarding your body and your health in a practical way. No, that may not be the most popular topic, but we are not going to shy away from it, and I believe she's got a wealth of knowledge that she's going to share with us, and want to just jump right into it. Olivia, why don't you just let us know who you are?
Yeah, thank you, Marshall, for having me. Praise the Lord, everybody. I'm excited to be here today. And we're going to talk about nutrition, but we're also going to have some fun with it. So stick around. We're going to talk about pizza and sushi along the way. So you're going to be good.
Oh, praise the Lord.
Yeah. So I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee, and I am a functional nutritionist. So I go to First Apostolic Church. My husband is the praise and worship leader. I am the Sunday school director. We have been married for 24 years, so coming up on 25 years. We've got 2 girls that keep us busy. So we are out here doing all the things all the time. We're knee deep in volleyball season right now, so that's a lot of games. We got a try match tonight, so we're looking forward to doing that after school today. I run a coaching company, so we have myself and 5 other coaches who are all apostolic. So we run a 100% apostolic coaching company. We coach anybody, but we really are determined that bringing quality health into the Pentecostal space is something that's needed. We need to learn how to steward our bodies, but in a practical method. And we'll talk more about that as we get into things. But yeah, so this is what we've been up and running for several years now, and are blessed to have this opportunity and to bring this message to the apostolic community. It's so needed, and we're just seeing a ton of response from people who are willing to open up and hear more about it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get into this. I know you and I have talked before, and this is a passion of mine. It's often overlooked. Maybe it doesn't seem really spiritual, but
Right.
I don't want to spoil where you're going with this, but I do feel like there is a very spiritual aspect to this, and maybe we'll unpack that a little bit more as we go. But I know you have a ton of awesome information for us today, and some practical. It's not just information, but
Right.
you're going to give us some practicality to go with it, some application. So with that being said, I'm going to get out of the way and let you do your thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and if you're listening to this podcast, that's the thing, is that if you walk away from anything on this podcast, I want you to walk away from, there's practical things that you can do. We don't have to have an all or nothing or an extreme mindset. And the other thing to walk away from is that it is a privilege to be able to steward our bodies. And if we will take a small amount of time, we don't have to invest a ton of time into it, but if we take a small amount of time to focus on what we're eating and how we're moving our body, the ROI that you're going to get from what you're going to get from the kingdom is huge, because that's what we coach to. Is a lot of folks are just exhausted, a lack of sleep, lack of good nutrition, lack of movement. And when you are exhausted, the bold question to ask yourself, but how are you serving in the kingdom when you're completely exhausted? And that's a tough question to come out of the gate. We kind of take the gloves off in the beginning, but I can say for myself that I had my own health journey. I lost 150 pounds over a decade ago. And so I was close to
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I was close to 300 pounds and lost 150. And then a year after I lost that 150 pounds, I became pregnant for the first time. So then that was a lot of trust in God. Like, Lord, don't let me, gain this weight back. It really was. And I'm just being honest about that. And then got pregnant again, and I've never regained that weight back. So even through 2 pregnancies over a decade, I've kept that weight off. And so the point is that and this is not a weight thing, so I'm also going to put that down here too. So while I was close to 300 pounds, I'm not here to talk about how much you weigh. I don't really care about how much you weigh. But when I was in that space of close to 300 pounds, singing in the choir would exhaust me, and I would be exhausted, and I would go home and just not have any energy. I would have to have a huge nap in between church services. And again, not against that Sunday afternoon nap. We love those. But, it was to the extreme that I had to have a nap to continue to function for Sunday night service. And so when I started taking better care of my body, I then realized that I had more energy. And when I had more energy, my praise increased. I was able to stay after church, meet visitors, talk to people more. I wasn't just looking to get home or get to the restaurant as quick as possible, right? And none of those things are inherently negative things. But when you think about if I can make some shifts and make some small changes, will that impact the way that I serve? And that's the ultimate goal is, can we serve at a higher capacity when we feel better?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you said that it's not a weight thing.
Right.
And I think this came up in our previous conversation at NAYC.
Yes.
We see David Jennings,
All right.
who is not a small guy,
Right.
but he ran and danced and shouted and sang and didn't even appear to breathe hard.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of people would
Enduring.
look at that and say that, like, how is that possible?
Yeah.
And the fact is that it's not a weight thing, but it's, are you in good health?
Right.
And I think a lot of people get discouraged whenever we start to talk about health because they immediately, their mind goes to the scale or to a body image, but it's so much more than just that.
And that's a great point. I'll give it to David Jennings. Like, that guy's got some cardio endurance. Like,
Better than me.
yeah,
For sure.
and I'm pretty active, but I was like thinking that same thing. I'm like, my husband is our praise and worship leader, and a friend of mine is as well. And she says, that she goes on runs and sings while she's running to try to build up that endurance to be able to run and shout and sing, at the same time. And so I know how much effort that takes to be able to do that. But going back to NAYC, here is the driver is that we do coach folks that want weight loss, but we really are coaching in behavior change, lifestyle change to get them to a better place. And so for NAYC, for example, we had several clients that went, and some of the testimonies that they gave were, I was unable to walk to my mailbox without getting winded prior to working with you. Or if I went to Walmart for the day, that's all I could do. That was like the max of her energy that she could put out without being exhausted. And she would huff and puff getting back from checking her mail. And then she goes to NAYC and she came back and said, I walked 15,000 steps every day and I led my youth group and did not feel exhausted.
That is
And
all.
yeah, she's been coaching with us for about, 5 months. I mean, that's a short amount of time, 5 months, to be able to go from going to Walmart on just a Walmart trip, puts me in the bed for a day, to I managed 3 days of NAYC and felt like an absolute champion, right?
Yeah.
That's serving better. That's serving higher.
Yeah, I have talked to individuals who have said, I want to do more in the church, but my health, this individual told me, I want to do more. I want to come and clean the church.
Yeah.
But I can't because it's all that I can do just to get up and get out of bed. And this person has come a long way since we had that conversation, and it's awesome to see that. But I think if you've never experienced it, it's hard to really grasp how serious that is.
I agree. And we can find ourselves not realizing that we're almost being lulled to sleep with poor habits, right? We're almost being lulled to sleep that it's normal to be exhausted all the time. And I'm not running around with a ton of energy. We've all got just finite amounts. But what we do see is that if we go to camp and it takes us weeks to recover from going to camp, or it's the recoverability time, it's just like you said, like they want to be able to do more, but their health is hindering them back, that can be changed as well. And I think that's the point that we want to talk about too, is that you don't have to stay stuck in that place. And it doesn't take a whole lot to move the needle on those things to start feeling better.
Right. So what are some of those things that we can do to start making those changes?
So one of the things that you can focus on is honestly just walking. So, I mean, and I know that sounds so just basic, right? And I will say, Marshall, that's where a lot of people miss the mark, right? Is because it's not flashy enough, right? So I'm going to say, I'm going to recommend, as someone who's lost 150 pounds, and I've coached clients who have lost over 1,000 pounds total, right? This is what you should do. And I'm going to say walk. And everybody's like, but that's not, but you need to tell me not to eat carbs for 30 days. You need to tell me to work out twice a day. I need you to tell me like to do something extremely hard. And so our mind's neuroscience is like wired to, it has to be extremely hard to be effective.
Right.
But that's not the case, right? And so, I mean, I'm going to say walking, but I'm also going to ask you to parallel that with like your Christian walk. Like,
absolutely,
your pastor or you are not asking someone that says, I want to get closer to the Lord. Their first words are not, I want you to read the Bible between now and next Sunday and come and report back, right?
Go on a 40-day fast.
Go on a 40-day fast. I want you to read your entire Bible and hold your eyes open with toothpicks while you pray 24/7, right? Like,
right.
What advice would you give somebody who says they're new to this? They're like, man, there's so much that I need to do. I'm so overwhelmed, but I really want to get closer to God. What's one thing I can do, Marshall, to do that this week? What task would you give them?
So it's funny that you asked that, because that's exactly where my mind was going whenever you talked about it's the simple, that just walking. But oftentimes I tell people, whenever I'm teaching a Bible study to a new convert or something of that nature, I'll ask them, are you praying every day? Or are you only praying it on Sundays?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I pray some. Okay, do you have 5 to 10 minutes every morning? Well, yeah. Okay, spend 5 to 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And you will build on that. There will come a time in your relationship where, well, 10 minutes, I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
And you'll grow from there, but don't worry about that right now.
Exactly.
And as far as your reading, I would recommend reading a proverb a day.
Yeah.
That's something that my pastor's wife in my first church, she always told us, a proverb a day. And that is something that I've done for years.
Yeah.
No matter how much I can spend hours in study, but I'm going to start my day with a proverb.
I love that.
Where I tell anybody to start. And it just builds from there. And one other thing, I'm going to turn it back over to you, but, and this is such a parallel to the physical as well, but I tell people that there's no comparing. Paul tells us that.
Right.
It's not wise to do so.
Right.
If you know somebody that prays for hours, well, praise God. That is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they do. I'm glad that they read the Bible for 3 hours every day, and that is amazing. But for somebody that has a full-time job and maybe kids or whatever, if you can start with 10 minutes of prayer and a chapter of Proverbs, you are well on your way. If you can do that 7 days a week, you are going to be doing far better than probably 90% of other proclaiming Christians.
I love that. And so when we hear that in the spiritual, which is solid, practical advice, now I'm going to give you solid, practical advice on nutrition, and you've got to take it that same way. Right. So, walking, and again, it's not bells and whistles, walk anywhere, walk anytime. So what I like to do is, instead of 10,000 steps a day, which is like some mythical, magical number, that somebody came up with, honestly, I will say that health benefits do start to increase after 7,000 steps. Like there's a decrease of cardiovascular disease and those types of things after 7,000 steps. But instead of reaching for that 10,000 step number, walking is one of the most effective things that you can do for your health. And lining that up biblically, that if the phrase walk with the Lord or walking with the Lord is mentioned over 500 times in the Bible. So walking is important, right? And you can walk and pray. You can mix those two things together, right? So look at where you're walking at now. That would be step one. So instead of saying, all right, it's 10,000 steps. I'm fired up by this podcast, 10,000 steps. Let's roll, baby. Start and say, okay, what am I walking right now? Look at your watch or whatever you use to track that. And if you're getting 3,000 steps, if that's your average, cool. we've got a starting point. I would try to go from 3,000 to 4,000 and
Right.
just really good from 3 to 4. And then once a month goes by, move it from 4 to 5, then 5 to 6, until you get to a number where you feel like it's sustainable that you can do that every day. Because it's going to be a lot easier to go from 3 to 4 versus 3,000 to 10,000. Because every Monday you may try to do 3,000 to 10,000, and then by like Wednesday, you're like, forget it. So start small. And the benefits that you're going to get from 3,000 to 5,000 from a health standpoint, from a weight management standpoint, a blood glucose standpoint, all that is going to be through the roof. So you get huge movement from 3 to 5, and then you get another big bump from 5 to 7. And then the health benefits start to still come from 7 to 10, but they're not as strong from that 7 to 10 as they are from 3 to 5 and from 5 to 7. So don't feel like you're shortchanged, because really kind of once you meet that 7, I mean, I'm not saying don't get 10 or 12 or whatever your number is, but if you can get to that 7, you're again, like what you said, like from most people, like you're going to be better than 90%. If you can get 7,000 steps a day consistently, you're going to be better than 90% of the U.S. population.
Right. And my mind keeps going to Naaman.
Yeah.
Naaman's got leprosy. He's got this thing that's going to kill him.
Right.
And he hears that there's a prophet in Israel. And he goes, and first the prophet doesn't even come out to him. He just sends his servant.
Yeah.
And he comes out and he says, go dip in the Jordan 7 times. And Naaman gets mad.
Yes.
We have cleaner rivers. And his servant says, well, if the prophet would have bid you to do some great thing,
there you go,
wouldn't you have done it? And Naaman realizes, well, I guess so.
Yeah.
He goes and he dips, and we could go a whole nother direction with this, but for the first 6 times that he goes down in the water, there's no tangible change.
Right.
As he comes up the 7th time, all of a sudden, this leprous skin that was falling off is now smooth as a baby's.
I love it.
And it's just that small, hey, just go dip in the Jordan 7 times.
Yeah.
You don't have to do a backflip to get healed.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that you're talking about. Just take 1,000 more steps.
Yeah.
I love that.
Steps. I love that. And it's God's will for us to take care of our bodies, and I think a lot of people miss that point, or they think that there's no value in doing that, or, like the Apostle Paul wrote about exercise profiteth little, right? And so a lot of, just a little bit, but I'm going to dig into that for just and I will give some more practical tips, but I'm going to talk about that for just a second, because we take that one verse and say, well, then exercise isn't really that important. Some people interpret it that way, or there's not much to be gained from that, right? But I heard a message preached on this one time. And so it talked about that the Greek word for bodily exercise is, I'm probably going to mispronounce this, but gymnasia is the Greek word. And that refers to like physical training. And so it's the physical training that was common in the Greco-Roman world. So these people that he was preaching about were the Romans, the Greek, like Olympians, right? Because they were training all the time. And so their whole life, the whole Greek life was like, I'm training, I'm working hard. They just put so much into that. So then when they would like compete, those prizes would fade away. So they would put all that time into their training and getting as fit as possible. They'd win whatever prize, and then that would fade away. That's what he was talking about. He was talking about obsessing over it. So he was saying in the grand scheme of things, the way that the Greeks were living their life, with that being the obsession, that they were going to get little profit from that. He wasn't saying as a whole that we as Christians should neglect that. And I think that verse is taken so out of context. And when you get down and really look at it, he wasn't talking to those that were seeking Christianity. He was talking to those that were using it, overusing training.
Right. Because you can swing to that opposite extreme. And I've seen so many people do it.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be careful whenever we're talking about health and stewardship of the body, that we don't push it in such a way that people do the knee-jerk reaction to, I'm going to devote my whole life to this one thing and then the spiritual things start to fall to the wayside. There has to be a balance there. And that's what I love about what you're doing, that you are bringing it from a very level-headed perspective. And you not only can you, but you should have both. And
Yeah.
it goes back to what Paul said in 1 Thessalonians 5, that God wants to sanctify us holy,
Yes.
not holy as in HOLY, but WHOLLY.
That's right.
Our spirit, our mind, and our body. And one thing that really sticks out to me from an evangelistic perspective, we are the chosen vessel. We're the vessel that God has chosen to carry his message. And I don't take the call of God on my life lightly. The reason why it's so important to me to be a good steward of my health is because this is the instrument that God has chosen to carry his gospel, to be his hands and feet. So with that in mind, we cannot overstate the importance of stewardship and, of course, moderation in all things.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'll hit on two things here. And that's a great point, Marshall, because we can go overboard. And so I'll kind of just, insert a little bit extra of my story, then we'll go into some other practical tips too. But once I lost that 150 pounds, that was great. But then I had to keep it off, right? And so a lot of this I was learning by myself. The Lord guided me. He did some great works through me when I lost that weight. When I went through that process, I was working a corporate job, so I wasn't planning on running a company. I wasn't planning on being an instrument of this magnitude to our movement. But the Lord knew differently. 15 years ago, he had a different plan. But the Lord worked some great things through me. But I was working a corporate job and was trying to figure out how to keep this weight off. Didn't really have any knowledge of nutrition. Again, not to harp on weight, but I was 300 pounds. So I wasn't used to working out. I wasn't used to eating quality food. Like I was just filling it out day by day on what to do. And so then after I had my second daughter, I had just really come to a place where I was like, I just have got to continue to keep this weight off. But things were getting busier. I've got 2 children now, still working a corporate job. And so it got to the point, because I wasn't educated enough, that I was overdoing things to try to keep the weight off. And so that wasn't a healthy place either. And that goes back to, we're not talking about 300 pounds or 150 pounds, right? So at that point, I would just walk and do cardio and just eat little bits of food, just trying to keep the weight off, because I had no knowledge or education at that point. And I would walk or combine cardio 20,000 steps a day. Like that wasn't abnormal to try to do that. Sometimes if I wanted something like chocolate, I would eat it and walk around at the same time to try to burn it off. Like it was a very dark season, and so I'll remember that. And I'm sharing this because there might be other people in this situation too, that we would go, my husband leads praise and worship. So he would get up early and go to early practices. I would go run 4 miles before church. And then I would come home, I'd get both of our girls ready. He would go to practice. Then we would go, I would do Sunday school. We would come home and we had Apostolic Pentecostal Church, shouting. And then we would come home and I would walk another 2 miles in between church. Then we'd go back for Sunday night church. And so I remember just crying in the shower just because I was exhausted, but I didn't know how to keep this weight off. I was like, I was keeping it off. I was successful. So from the outside, everybody's like, you're doing a great job. You're keeping this weight off, but it was not a healthy place that I was doing that from, but I didn't know what else to do. And I remember just crying out to the Lord, and I'm saying, this is not how you designed me to live. I was exhausted at the beginning when I was close to 300 pounds, but then I lost 150 and I was also equally exhausted. Now there was obviously times within there where I was not, but we're talking about the 2 extremes. And, I just cried out to the Lord. I said, this is not how you intended me to live. There's got to be a different way. And so through series of events, he opened up the door for me to learn the science of nutrition and to learn how to completely and wholly care for my body, which is where I am now. And now it's, much better place, but you can have dark stages on either side, and we coach folks that are afraid of food and fearful of it. and they're not and they understand they're not stewarding their bodies in that way either. So if you're in that boat, it happens to men and women. I've coached men that eat at night because they don't want their family to see them eat, and they're concerned about things. So no shame in any of that. And I think that's the thing too, is if you're in a place where you need support, there's no shame in that. Absolutely no shame. So from a whole standpoint, let's talk about food for a little bit, because I am a firm believer in mental health counseling. Big, firm believer of that. I think that there is so much benefit to that. I'm glad to see it alive and well and thriving. I will say that if you are battling some depression, if you're battling some negative moods, do you need mental health counseling? Very much that could be the case, but you also could just need some quality food in your diet. So, if you're not eating any type of vegetables, if you're eating very little protein, those are some things that I would start, again, from a practical standpoint. Write down your food throughout the day and how much of that food is ultra processed. Now, I have a Diet Coke every day, so I'm not over here, preaching Whole30 foods and don't eat.
I can have my Oreos.
You can have your Oreos. You can have your Chick-fil-A. See?
Oh, thank God.
And I'm in moderation in all things, but people, and I'm not against seed oils. Some people are very much against that. Everybody can have their own philosophy on that, but you can eat Chick-fil-A, you can eat things like that. But the question is are you eating some vegetables throughout the day? Because those nutritional deficiencies make a huge impact on how we feel. So if you're not ever eating blueberries, if you're not ever eating apples, if you're never eating, broccoli and things like that, like slowly start to incorporate those into your diet, because that can make a huge difference on the way that you feel.
Absolutely. What other practical things you have for us?
Yeah, I would say it's the basics, drink some water. Again, and when you're looking to start, is always just kind of ask yourself, like, where am I at right now? Like, instead of saying, this is all that I'm going to start doing, which is what we all do when we want to go on a diet or a health journey, is I'm going to start doing all of these 7 things. Take a look at your day. So I would, either on your phone app or write it down, pencil and paper, just write down your entire day. So you get up in the morning, what do you do first? Do you grab your phone first, or do you have some prayer first? Like, write down everything that you do throughout the day. Did you take a walk on your lunch, or did you sit and scroll? And I'm just beating up the phone right now, and I'm on mine all the time. So, no judgment there. It's just the easy go-to.
It is.
Eat breakfast. Was it a pack of donuts? Just no judgment, no shame. Just write your day down and then say, okay, if I had to pick 2 or 3 things that I want to work on changing out of my whole day and habits, what's 2 or 3 things? And maybe that's steps. Maybe that's drinking more water. Maybe that's I'm going to eat an apple with my lunch. I'm going to have a protein shake. Pick 2, max 3 things and add those in and start to build some consistency with that. Then do an audit 3 or 4 weeks later. How have I been doing on those things? If you're good, then add another one that you see that you want to add on to it. And so it's that slow, steady changes that'll get you to where you want to be for the long term.
Love that. And again, it's just those practical. I love that you're not coming on here telling us that we need to do keto or the carnivore diet or go on this prolonged fast or any of these extremes that a lot of people run to.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just everyday things. And I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here and maybe even get a little help from myself while we're at it. If we need to cut the recording off and you charge me for this coaching, then we will. But I know there's a lot of people similar to myself in that the world that we're living in is so fast-paced. And so for myself, I have a full-time job.
Okay.
I'm very involved at my local church. I evangelize and I do this podcast.
Yeah.
Things are so jam-packed, and not every day or every week even looks remotely the same. So what are some things that those that have either really busy or really inconsistent schedules can do to take control of these small things?
That's good. So let me ask you, so where do you think that you have the most room to grow if you had to pick two things?
Oh, now you're putting me on the
I
spot.
know I am.
I would say time management in the sense that I noticed that because my time is so limited, it's like I'm so packed with things to do that oftentimes whenever I get that free time, instead of maybe just resting
Yeah.
or reading a book, oftentimes I find myself wasting time. So that's one thing I could improve. And then the other would be better sleep schedule, which
Yeah.
I guess those two can be one and the same, but
It
uh,
can be. Yeah, for sure. Well, and sleep is not something that we have hit on yet, but that's a very important part of taking care of your body too, is making sure you're getting quality sleep. Because if you're not sleeping much, you're going to have more cravings. So a lot of people say, I've got a ton of cravings. I eat a ton of carbs. I'm not against carbs by any means, but if the less sleep you get, those hunger hormones are going to shoot up through the roof and you're going to be more hungry for comfort food because your body's just looking for comfort in any way that it can find it. So working on sleep is a quality thing to try to work in there, but then you're also going 100 miles an hour, right?
yeah.
So what I would do, Marshall, what I recommend for you or for anybody in that situation is you're not going to be able to have, okay, you're going to meal prep on Saturday. You're going to go, this is your dinners every night through the week. Like that's not going to fit you. Now that might fit someone else, but it's not going to fit for you. I would take a look at your week, either a snapshot of a week at a time. And what does this week look like? Right. So, how many nights will we be home for dinner? How many times will I need to eat out? What does that look like? So, that place where you said, like, you're wasting time, which we all do, but just carve out every Sunday afternoon. I'm going to take a look at my week and see what that looks like.
Mhm.
And a week might be too overwhelming for some people. It's like they look at all they have to do in a week and they're like, oh, fight or flight, like paralyzed, can't do anything. If that's the case for you, if a week is too much, I'd look at it for the next 3 days. What am I required to do? Where am I required to be for the next 3 days? And then try to work some things in there. Okay, well, I think I can do a prayer walk in the morning, so that'll help me get my steps out. I'm going to be driving all day Monday morning. Let me go ahead and grab a protein shake and a banana. So, and then lunch, we're going to eat out. So then I know that my dinner, probably want to rein that in a little bit if I've eaten a pretty heavy lunch out. Right. And so looking at your day, okay, well, Tuesday I'll be in the office all day. So let me go ahead and pack a sandwich with some carrots, again, just putting in some fruits, vegetables, things like that. Like I can pack my lunch on Tuesday and a sandwich is fine. It doesn't have to be the meal prep containers and all of that. So then that way you've got a handle either on the week or the next 3 days and then reevaluating that. So that way you're staying on top of what's important.
Right. And the reason I ask that is not just because that's something that I need help with, but I know a lot of our subscribers, they are bivocational ministers, or we have several that are working a job and they're in college or high school. Yeah, they're busy people. And it seems that just in the day that we're living in, more and more people are spread more and more thin. So I feel like that's an easy excuse for a lot of people, is just to say, well, the only thing I have time to do is go through McDonald's drive-through.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to just shine some light on the fact that there are small things that you can do in order to take control.
Yeah.
So we're going to shift gears. Unless you have any more, I want to make sure that we get all the practical application things that we can while we've got you on here.
I will add that just when we're coaching people, so when people come into coaching, we're talking to them one-on-one. So like basically what you and I are doing here, we have our coaching calls. So we're talking all about things like that. So if you have somebody who is bivocational, which is huge, and I mean, that is, my heart goes out to them. I mean, one, they're doing, it's making such an impact in the mission field with what they're doing. And it's tough, so I think that not blindfolding that, right? Like it's tough. It's so rewarding as well. But what we do are things like that. Like we help you, let's break your week down. And then here's the restaurants that you can go to, so this is where you can go. This is 3 or 4 different choices that you can get. So doing that yourself. And I know that it seems like, man, that's such a time spent, walking through all of that if you're doing it yourself. But It'll get easier every 3 days or every 7 days, however much you do that. But you will make, I guess what I'm telling you is this is what we do in coaching. Like that's
Right.
how much of an impact it can make for you or for your listeners who will do that. It's just that little bit of time spent, 30 minutes planning those things out. I mean, it can move the needle enormously for people.
Right. And here at the end, I'm going to ask you where people can find information about the coaching and how to get in touch with you for those services. I think a lot of our listeners would really benefit.
Good.
So thank you for just giving us a free sample today.
Yeah.
So we want to put you on the spot here with some rapid fire questions. So are you ready?
Yes.
I'm sensing a lack of confidence here. All right.
I'm ready. I'm always ready.
Awesome. All right. Number one, favorite Bible verse.
Deuteronomy 31:8. The Lord goes before you. He will never leave you. He will never forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. The Lord has already went before me today. He already knows what's coming down the pike. So I don't have to worry about anything.
I love that. We can take a lot of assurance in that when we really grab a hold of that and not just say it, but actually grab the true meaning of that.
Absolutely.
Okay, now we're going to see if you tell on yourself here or not. What is your favorite food?
Oh, sushi, 100%.
Sushi, okay.
Yes.
Let me ask you as the professional, is sushi healthy? I guess it depends on what kind you get.
I mean, if it's tempura, you're pushing it, I don't know.
I love sashimi, so I'm good.
I love sushi. I don't have it a lot, but I could have it every day.
Hobbies or special interests? What makes you you?
Oh, goodness. Hobbies and special interests. I am really just all into Jesus and my family and helping people get healthy. I don't know if hobbies, I need more. I need more hobbies. I need to get out and do more. I do CrossFit, so that really is kind of a hobby. I've just picked that up over the past year, and so I do love CrossFit. There's a lot of fun folks out there. So I'd say that's a hobby because I don't get to do it all the time.
Awesome. All right. And do you have any book and or podcast recommendations for our listeners?
For podcasts, I have a podcast. So if you want a health podcast, you can listen to mine, Living Well with Liv Hill. I like the podcast Unashamedly You. I think that's a great podcast. I also like Unedited Meg. Those are two good podcasts. And then Hello Awesome. I think those three cover a lot of different ideas within the apostolic faith. So I enjoy listening to those. Books. I'm a self-help guru. I need more hobbies and I need more fun, but I'm always reading like tons of self-help books. But if there's any entrepreneurs out there, I will mention the book Story Brand is a really good entrepreneur book to read. A lot of the reading that I do is listening too. I just listen to a lot of books. But of course, Bible studies, I will say, Bible studies changed my life. I'm going off a little bit here, but
that's all right. Go ahead. You speak my language now.
Yeah. Bible studies was a pivotal moment for me in my Christian walk. And they're old Bible studies by Beth Moore, which I know Beth Moore is still around. I know that she still does Bible studies, but her old ones, and you can get the videos on YouTube. You can get the books. They're probably still on Amazon. They're thick and they run about 8 weeks. Those were life-changing for me. Yet I was far in my Christian walk, and they made me experience the Lord in a way that I'd never experienced the Lord before. And so Beth Moore, James, Daniel, James was so good. Esther, I can't recommend her Bible studies. It's the older ones. She's gotten a little bit more, liberal out here in the past really decade. But if you go back to her earlier stuff, if you're needing a refreshing or just not sure about how to get in the Word, I can't recommend those Bible studies enough.
I love that. Last question. This is the one that everyone seems to go blank on.
Okay.
What is one crazy, funny, or embarrassing moment that you're comfortable sharing with everybody?
I think that's the question. Is comfortable sharing?
Well, I mean, as they say on one of my favorite podcasts, I don't listen to Kingdom Speak, but a lot of times they say it's just us right now.
Yes,
It's just you and me talking.
us talking. Oh, so many, so many. But I will pull in one that recently happened where I felt pretty embarrassed, actually. So again, I do go to CrossFit, but I'm not good at CrossFit. Like that's a whole different kind of like training.
Oh,
We
yeah.
had this really big class, but my gym is cool. Like CrossFit's a very family oriented style like workout at most gyms. And so you like jump up on the bar and you try to do these pull ups. And so it was like the start of something. And I was just not being serious about things. And I go to pull up on the bar and like one hand grabs and one hand doesn't. And I like totally bite the dust, like in front of the whole class. And so not only do I bite the dust in front of the whole class, but like they all know what I do for a living. They all know.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I was like, and then of course it's like that embarrassing part. Like they're like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And you know that you're totally okay. And you're like, "I'm fine. I'm okay." But then they're just like babying you. So it was, I really just wanted to go home, but I went through it. So that was probably one of the most recent, like out in public, embarrassing moments.
That's
Despite
awesome.
dust on that bar.
Yeah, that reminds me. I'm still big into fitness, but at one point I was a lot bigger into it than I am right now.
Yeah.
And had like a fitness Instagram account and everything. And I was doing some like crazy high box jumps. And then I'm recording and I hit my toes hit right at the top of the box and I just ate it. So I understand what that's like.
Oh man, and those box jumps, I mean, you're risking your life every time you do those because you're
Yeah.
always like you're just one toe away from biting the
Yeah.
dust.
I figured that out the hard way. It skinned me all up. It was rough.
Yeah, those are
Um,
for sure.
So what are some things that we need to know about? I know of one thing in particular that you have coming up that we might want to know about, but just tell us anything that we need to be looking for coming up.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of things going on. We'll be at Dear Young Married Couple here in September. So that's right around the corner. I'll be doing that in September, going out to Terre Haute, Indiana. We'll be doing a full weekend seminar for nutrition in Terre Haute. That's coming up. A couple more podcasts that are on the pike. That's one thing that's been great is churches are inviting me in to do workshops and seminars. That is, and you can just tell how hungry people are for this knowledge. And we go into so much more versus what we've talked about here. I mean, we put up the slides and we go through everything. It's also been a great community outreach. So churches are opening that up and saying, hey, we're having an event. We're going to talk about nutrition, and people want to know and come in and ask questions. So we've got a lot of those lined up going into 2026, getting on a lot of calendars there. So we've got some of those things coming around the pike as well. So I'm excited about that.
That's awesome. In particular, I'm really looking forward to the Dear Young Married Couples. We're going to be there, and
Oh, cool.
it's my wife and I's first marriage retreat conference, anything of that nature, since we just had our 1-year anniversary. Well, I guess it's been about 2 months now. So
Oh,
it's our
happy-
first thing like that. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I've heard that they don't hold back at the Dear Young Married Couple. So
That's what I've heard.
battle up. Yeah, so we're looking forward to that too, and just a lot of knowledge. And that's the thing is, if you're listening to this podcast, I know that you would appreciate them sharing that. Just getting this word out here about practical health and that it's our duty to take care of ourselves, but it doesn't have to be painful and miserable and an all or nothing mindset. So I appreciate anybody listening to this, sharing this. And I know you'll say the same, but it just makes such an impact,
Yeah.
I haven't found anyone else in Pentecost that's doing this. And somebody asked me the other day, who else does this in Pentecost? I said, I don't know if I knew him, I'd hire him to bring them along.
That's awesome.
Because we're always looking for new coaches. So, just continue to share this word. It's so beneficial.
Awesome. And where can people connect with you online?
Anywhere and everywhere. So we are
Right.
all over. So we've got a full running website, which is livehillnutrition.net. Very active on social media. Facebook is Olivia Hill. Instagram, Live Hill Nutrition. Then we have a podcast as well, Living Well with Live Hill.
Awesome. Okay, final thing. This can be on the topic that we've talked about today, or it can be completely off topic.
Okay.
Whatever you feel. So the idea of the babbler comes from Acts 19. The Apostle Paul finds himself at Mars Hill which is just the epicenter of the time. You've got every philosophy, every idea, every social class, every belief system all in one place. And Paul takes that opportunity to preach Jesus. So now that you are here at the digital Mars Hill, if you will, what is one thing that you want to tell everyone?
Yes. All right. About Jesus. One thing that I want to tell everyone. Wasn't ready for that. Okay. So I would say outside of this, outside of nutrition coaching, which is like what a lot of people equate with me now, one of the biggest ways to share Jesus is to be an encourager. And I did not grow up in Pentecost. I came into it in my late teens. And it kind of just adds up with what we're talking about, small things with nutrition. But it was the small things that people in the congregation did for me and encouraged me and helped me, that developed me as a Christian, that allowed me to grow. They raised me. I say that my church truly raised me from, age 17 to where I am now, 47. And so if you are looking to make an impact for the kingdom, don't always look for the microphone. Don't always look for being on the stand. I cannot tell you how many times somebody just slipped a card into my hands. Somebody just came and sat down next to me. Somebody genuinely asked about my day when my kids were little, helping me with like diaper bags. I mean, do not overlook the small things. And going back to what you said, Marshall, about we live in such a fast-paced world right now that I feel like the small things are being overlooked.
Right.
I feel like genuinely looking someone in the eye and just saying, hey, how's your week been? I feel like that doesn't happen as much as it used to. If you see somebody in church, just going up and sitting down next to them and just having just a chat, those small things are still so impactful and can make such a difference in somebody's lives. Again, like this might not be a small thing to somebody, but if you know a mom that's struggling and she's a single mom in your church, like hand her a gift card to go get lunch with her kids after church, just small things like that. Huge dividends in the kingdom, huge dividends. And if you've overlooked, and I've been guilty of this too, overlooking doing the small things, get back to that basics because it really moves the needle.
That's so good. And if you don't have anything else, I would ask that you lead us out in prayer.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
All right.
All right. Jesus, I thank you so much for this opportunity. I thank you for this great crowd of listeners. I thank you for every person who has tuned in. Jesus, as we are all working hard to live in the calling that you have for us, Jesus, I pray that you would open our eyes to the things that we need to see. I pray that you would open doors for us, place people in our paths that we can minister to. Lord, let us always give our all for you. Let us not be distracted by the things of this world, but let us stay connected to you, looking to you for wisdom and guidance and truth in all things that we do. Help us, Lord, with our families, with ourselves, as we steward our bodies, as we lead others to you. Let us do that to the best of our ability that always gives you glory. I thank you for this opportunity. I thank you, Lord, for today. And I trust in you that you have everything under your mighty hand. We love you and thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. That was good.
All right.